So I lived in a lot of places. I grew up in Queens. I was born in Southern Italy. Grew up in Queens. Lived in Brooklyn for a while. Lived in Lower Manhattan for just a little tiny bit. Um, and the thing about this whole fucking stupid shit, real estate garbage, and people can afford things. It's like no matter where I was, right, after a while, it just got more expensive, right? When you're in the poverty areas, you think, all right. But what happens is that if those poverty areas happen to be somewhere close to somewhere that the rich and the middle class need, what do? They start moving into these places, right? Now you have a home, you live the whole life being by the beach, by Asbury, Bradley, whatever, Neptune, whatever it is, right? So you live there in the poor areas. It's usually on the other side of the railroad tracks, right? But even in Asbury, some ways, you had it once, right? And then what happens? Right? And all of a sudden, it's like if it's an area that is close to something important, there's something significant, artistic, something that's driving some kind of like energy, probably like an energy vortex, right? And I saw that happening living in New York. It's like everywhere I could afford to live, after a while I couldn't afford to live. And I lived that yuppie lifestyle for a little bit, not really to that point, but I worked in corporate America. I played a little bit. I lived in Brooklyn in a nicer area, Carroll Gardens for a while, paying high rents to make it to Manhattan faster. So, right, you got to do that, But there goes the problem, because then all of a sudden, people come in, right? People that have more money, right, can afford better things, because now all of a sudden your area is close to the beach where all these famous artists go and play, and now there's an art, and deco and all this other crap fucking happening around that's making it real expensive. So what happens then? It attracts the yuppie class, the more, and then you have what you have, right? You have what you have, right? You have a place that you lived, all of a sudden it becomes unaffordable. A house that was 150, now it's 300,000. And you're not making much more because you don't want to play the game. But if you're playing the game, all of a sudden it's like, and then slowly and slowly the poor get pushed out and put into areas. Then they build little nice, little fancy little things and put them into like project areas. But they're just fancy slave houses, right? They're slave houses with some more fancy stuff to them. Make them feel a little better. So, and then and you walk around. I remember every place that I've ever walked around, and it was the original people there. And, everybody's smiling, happy. Hello, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. No matter what you look like, you could be, you can have a mohawk, you can have, unless it's a really, one community, like, Italian community, and they just expect the same. But in New York, that doesn't happen. Especially, I noticed that in Lower Manhattan. It's like, Manhattan was always like, oh my God, yeah. But then Lower Manhattan was always, you have punks walking around, you have CBGBs, you have all these things walking around, like, and everybody used to smile. Hey, what's up, man? Hey, what's going on? Hey, what's up? What's that? Yeah. That energy of Lower Manhattan is just amazing. And then throughout the years, what I saw is like, again, the yuppies started moving in because all the other places were, filled up and getting even more expensive. So the yuppies that couldn't afford the really expensive, then they moved it into the poor areas and what happens? All of a sudden, those poor areas become expensive areas. Red Hook becomes Carroll Gardens, and Brooklyn Heights and all these things. That you can afford because it's closer. Right? And then the poverty just keeps on getting pushed farther and farther away from where they were, right? Farther away, because they can't afford that. And you have these things, right? These things that people do to each other Oh, but what else you're going to do? It's like, if you want to live somewhere, you have to make it more expensive. You like, no. You build everything exactly the best thing, best for that person all around the world. Yeah. And then you can live there for 2 years, and if you want to live by the beach, any of the beaches. It doesn't matter. If art is not centered around one place, if things that you want to do is not centered around one place only, and then everybody has to congregate there and to work there, then all of a sudden we can just be where we are, enjoy where we are, and then have the luxuries that we can afford because we're in a poor area instead of a richer area. And then people won't be pushed out. And then if you want to go live somewhere else, is there a place? Yeah, go live there for 2 years. Why? It's free. That's the difference between not charging each other to live and then helping each other to work and build, build a society that we can be proud of, right? Instead of you go and it's, hey, poor people, you like it here? Say, okay. I used to walk around Manhattan and see all these people, like Lower Manhattan. It's like, Upper Manhattan is different. Midtown and where I worked, everybody's rushing. Nobody's smiling. Yeah, nobody's smiling. Lower Manhattan with punks and I said, yeah. And then slowly as I started going there, after growing up and going there back and then all of a sudden it's like I saw the faces change. It's like all of a sudden I see the same people that were uptown and midtown, now down here. And depending on how I look, if I had my suit on, they might have went, hey. But if I had, when I had with the dreads and the street clothes, like not even a glance over, And you walk through this, and then once in a while you see a punk, or you see a heavy metal, or you see somebody out there that's like, hey, and you lock eyes and go like, yeah, what's up, brother? But less and less of that. And then where you have to go to find these people are either, mental institutions, right? Addiction clinics, right? Or just where they've been pushed, right? Just pushed to a place, right? But all of a sudden, they feel like, well, why wasn't it good enough for me? Right? Why does this person deserve more? Why does this person have, why is God shining their light on? No, it's not God shining their light on them. God shines his light on you, on the people that they trample on. Right? And, it's waiting. It's kind of waiting. It's like, let's see if they will they realize what they do? And afterwards, they won't. And then what is going to? You think God's going to go like, oh, I'm so happy that you pushed my children, some of my children out of where they lived and when I gave them for free, and then charged them for it, and then made it impossible for them to go back there. Sure, I want all these much more, wealthier and people that believe that they're more, they deserve more than everyone else. Right? I'm so happy these people are actually sitting on these places where they're energy vortexes that if you connect to them, maybe you can spread that throughout the world. Instead of spreading it, they just keep it there and then just congregate there and then charge each other there and then, hey, yeah, and then party there, party there. How was you live in Asbury? With which tower do you live in Asbury? Huh? Oh, yeah. You live on this side of the railroad tracks or that side? It doesn't matter because even that side of the railroad tracks are now being targeted. And now you have a small area left that's like, okay, we'll keep them here, and eventually they'll all end up in the other place. I was thinking about jail, right? The prison, right? The cage, right? And that's what we do to each other. Right? Oh, all these fancy, nice places, all these great places that we just want to move to, live in, and spend our whole life just working really hard to make sure that we stay there. Stay there. Or we find somewhere else that's good and push those people out and do it. So I'm thinking, the same thing that the middle class and the wealthy are doing to the poor is the same thing that Europeans did to the tribal cultures of this land, right? It's like, they have a land here, and they come in and just push them out. Right? So in a sense, tribal cultures, the ones that they didn't kill just became the poor, right? And they're, as far as I can say, they're still in where I am, and we all are enslaved.